We are diving into one of the most incredible turnarounds in ancient history. It's a story about how a powerful man lost absolutely everything, only to get it all back and then some. This is all about the single, chaotic year that turned Herod, a respected ruler, into a desperate fugitive.
So that's the big question, right? How does that even happen? In 41 BC, Herod was a real rising star. He was a tetrarch. Think of it as a regional governor, and he had the full might of Rome behind him. But by 40 BC, he was on the run for his life. Let's dig into just how fragile his world really was.
All right, so first, we've got to set the scene. Judea, back in 41 BC, wasn't some simple, stable kingdom. Oh no, it was this complex web of local power, foreign influence, all held together by the thinnest of threads. It was basically a house of cards, just waiting for someone to sneeze.
Okay, so let's break this power structure down. At the top, you had Hyrcanus II. He was the official ruler, the ethnarch, from the local Hasmonean dynasty. They were the historic royal family in Judea. But, and this is a big but, the guys really holding things together were Herod and his brother Phasael. They were tetrarchs, put in place by their Roman backer, Mark Antony. And here's the key takeaway. Herod was powerful, for sure, but he wasn't the king. His authority was completely tied to Roman support, and making sure his boss, Hyrcanus, stayed in power.
And that delicate little arrangement, well, it was about to get completely shattered. A huge threat was building just over the horizon, and it was about to come crashing down on them.
So, let's meet our antagonist, a guy named Matthias Antigonus. Now, he's Hyrcanus' nephew, so he felt he had a claim to the throne, and he wasn't messing around. He made an alliance with the Parthian Empire, Rome's #1 enemy in the East. Suddenly, a family squabble just became a massive international crisis.
This brings up a really good question. You're probably thinking, wait a minute, if Judea is under Roman protection, why didn't the legions just march in and crush this thing? Well, the answer shows a huge weakness at the very heart of Rome's power at this exact moment.
Simply put, Rome was completely distracted. The Parthians weren't some small-time problem. They were a massive empire, a real thorn in Rome's side for years. But even more importantly, Rome was basically at war with itself. Herod's patron, Mark Antony, was getting sucked into these bitter power struggles that would blow up into a full-blown civil war against his rival, Octavian. So with Rome's eyes turned inward, its grip on faraway places like Judea got real loose, creating the perfect opportunity for a coup.
So with Rome looking the other way, the invasion was lightning fast and absolutely devastating. For Herod, the world as he knew it was about to end, and end violently.
The collapse was just shockingly quick. In 40 BC, Antigonus and the Parthians roll in. Hyrcanus is immediately overthrown. Herod and his brother are stripped of all their power. And just like that, the powerful tetrarch is a man on the run. No army, no title, and there's a new king on the throne who wants him dead. He's officially a fugitive. With absolutely everything lost, Herod had only one card left to play. He had to make a desperate journey to the heart of the very empire that had, just failed to protect him. He had to get to Rome.
So, what was the plan? Well, it was surprisingly loyal. His goal was to get to Rome, stand before the Senate, and convince them to send an army to kick out the Parthians and put his old boss, Hyrcanus, back on the throne.
And this is a really critical point. At this stage, Herod isn't making a power grab for himself. Not at all. He's acting like a loyal employee, trying to get his boss's job back and restore the old system.
But when Herod actually got to Rome, the senators listened to his plan, and they came to a completely different conclusion. Their decision was about to change everything.
You see, the Romans looked at their two options. Option A, restore Hyrcanus, but he'd already proven he was too weak to hold the throne. Putting him back would just be resetting a failed system. Then there was option B, this guy standing right in front of them, Herod. He was ambitious, he was tough, and most importantly, he was a proven loyalist to Rome. For the super pragmatic Roman Senate, this was a no-brainer. Why back the guy who already lost when you can back a potential winner?
And so, in an absolutely stunning turn of events, the Senate just completely bypassed Hyrcanus. They looked at this fugitive who had sailed all the way there to plead for his boss, and they decided to give the top job to him instead. They declared Herod the new king of the Jews. Now, this title wasn't some magic wand that put him on the throne. Think of it more as a license to go to war.
It gave Herod the official legal backing of Rome to go back to Judea, raise an army, and conquer the kingdom that was now his, at least on paper.
I mean, it's just an incredible reversal of fortune. In the space of one single year, 40 BC, Herod goes from being a powerful governor to a desperate fugitive, and then, in the halls of the Roman Senate, to a king in waiting. It is one of the most amazing political comebacks in all of ancient history. Which, of course, leaves us with one last massive question. Rome gave Herod a fancy title, but Antigonus and the Parthians still held the actual kingdom. Herod had the crown on paper, but now he had to go fight a war to claim his throne. Could the fugitive actually become a king? Well, that is a story for another time.